Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama Hare 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 Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So Hare Krishna. Thank you for inviting us to your home. Amit, is it Amit? And your brother?
And Sumit.
Pardon?
My brother Sumit.
Sumit?
Yes.
Amit and Sumit. Hare Krishna Sumit. And I don't know, I can't remember at least other devotees' names. Excuse me. I mean, the devotees traveling with me, I can still remember their names, just about. But, Hare Krishna. So this evening what would you, it's a little high-pitched. Very high. If possible to make it a bit more neutral. It's very kind of like, oh, echoey. Make it a bit louder. Now it's not on.
I'll go.
Who brought the, who is it?
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna,
Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram,
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna, Karuna Sindhu, Deenabandhu Jagate, Gopika Gopika Kanta, Radha Namaste, Dr. Mantra Gaurangi, Radhe Vrindavaneshwari, Vishwamanu Se Devi, Pranamami Hariye, Vanchakalpa Tarubhyascha, Kripa Sindhubhya eva cha, Patitanam Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So what would you like us to speak on this evening? Amit, Sumit, whoever the host, what to speak on?
whatever you like, Maharaj.
Okay, we'll speak on whatever I like. What do I like? Huh? What did you say? Huh?
Personal job.
Sugar, you think sugar? Sofa. Carrot. Whatever I like.
Speak on whatever you like.
Oh, I see. That's one ahead of me. Speaking on the sofa. Okay, we've established the first part of the point. Now the second part. Whatever I like. Okay, what do I like? What do I like? I don't know if I like anything.
Prabhupada.
What's that?
Chanting and dancing.
Puji, Maharaj, your association with Prabhupada.
I don't have any. You have association with Srila Prabhupada. You're reading his books. When you read his books, you associate with Prabhupada. The best way. So you can know me by reading my books. It's not by seeing Prabhupada that we know him, necessarily. It's following him. Of course, it's nice. You hear many wonderful pastimes of Srila Prabhupada. They're intertwined, of course, with following him and serving him. But the realization comes from our surrendered devotion, our selfless devotion. Not just about. I was pointing one devotee out this morning. I don't know who I was walking with. One of the devotees here this morning, I think. And I said, "You see that devotee over there? He's one of the oldest devotees in ISKCON. Nobody knows him much. The devotees in Vrindavan know him, but he's visiting devotees from him. And he was one of the first devotees. Amazing devotees, but he had this tendency to follow Prabhupada around. Sometimes we think following in the footsteps means wherever Prabhupada goes, there you are, you pop up. I go, Prabhupada! Srila Prabhupada, Ki Jai. Oh, glorious to his divine loving grace, Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, Savior of the whole world! They would like pop up everywhere like this. And after a few weeks of this, Prabhupada said, why don't you do something for a change? Do something useful. Following me around like this is of no value. Do something useful. It's like Srila Prabhupada, he didn't spend much time with his spiritual master physically. Measure it. It wasn't that much. I mean, he met him on obviously quite a few occasions, but it wasn't that much. He wasn't a very well-renowned member of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta's movement at that time. Of course, we may have heard, I would assume that most of you have heard, about Srila Prabhupada receiving the instruction from Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati. And very ironically, that instruction was given, of all places, in Radhakund. Generally, devotees go to Radhakund, maybe just because the party is going to Radhakund. But if you're kind of going there, I'm going to Radhakund, you're kind of usually going there for some, maybe I'll bathe in Radhakund, maybe I'll see the Badajis, maybe I'll get some transcendental realization about realize my Siddhadeya, my Siddha Pranali. I'll realize who I am. I'm a gopi. I'm a coward boy or something. You don't get many coward boys in Radhakund. But anyway, whatever it is, sometimes we get this kind of a feeling that, something very nectar of instruction. I've got that book here somewhere. I know where to put it. Nectar of instruction. I read it. One should go to Radhakund. And there, I'll read it to you. Yes, here it is. Radhakund. We just came a few days ago. We were in Radhakund. A good microphone. How many of you have been to Radhakund? Who's been to Radhakund? Most of you. Who's been to Govardhan? How is that? More have been to Govardhan. Have you been to Govardhan but not Radhakund? Usually you go to both, don't you?
Yeah, right.
If you do Parikrama, at least
Yes.
you go to both. And don't forget Shamakund as well. I don't know exactly where Prabhupada writes this. But he says that we should reside, as a person should reside at Radhakund. Therefore, everyone interested in Krishna consciousness should ultimately take shelter in Radhakund and execute devotional service there throughout one's life. This is the conclusion of Rupa Goswami in this 10th verse of this book. Maybe in the next verse. The conclusion is that to live on the banks of Radhakund and to bathe 3 times daily constitute the highest perfection of devotional service. It is difficult to attain even for great sages like Narada Muni. Thus there is no limit to the glory of Radhakund. There's one place where Kabbalah says we should live there. Here's a few more. The lake of Radhakund is so exalted because it belongs to Srimati Radharani, who is the most beloved object of Sri Krishna. Among all the gopis, she is the most beloved. Similarly, her lake, Radhakund, is also described by great sages as the lake that is as dear to Krishna as Radha herself. Indeed, Krishna's love for Radhakund and for Srimati Radharani is the same in all respects. Radhakund is very rarely attained, even by great personalities, fully engaged in devotional service. What to speak of ordinary devotees who are only engaged in the practice of Vaidhi Bhakti? It is stated that a devotee will at once develop pure love of Krishna in the wake of the gopis if he once takes a bath in Radha Kund. Has anyone taken a bath in Radha Kund? Anybody? 3, 4, only 4? Did you immediately attain devotional, pure devotional love in the wake of the gopis? You didn't do it. You're supposed to get it after one bath. What happened? What happened? Huh? Something went wrong. The Rupa Goswami recommends that even if one cannot live permanently on the banks of Radha Kund, you should at least take a bath in the lake as many times as possible. This is a most important item in the execution of devotional service. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur writes in this connection that Radha Kund is the most select place for those interested in advancing their devotional service in the wake of the lady friends, the Sakhis and confidential serving maids, manjaras of Srimati Radharani. Of course, if that's not actually the fact, then it may not be the best place for us. On top of that, we don't really know, because understanding of our Siddha or our eternal constitutional position does not manifest in the process of Vaidhi Sadhana Bhakti. We don't know what it is. It's revealed. Prabhupada said this understanding is revealed of itself in due course of time when we come to the spontaneous platform of devotion, Raganuga Bhakti. At that stage, these advices are primarily for Raganuga Bhakti, not to like Sadhana Bhakti so much. We may go there and offer respect, get inspired, whatever, but we should not imitate. Bhakti Siddhanta Maharaj, there's another section, I don't know where it is. It says we should live on the banks of Radha Kund, and there in the spiritual body render something like unreserved pure devotional service to Radha and Krishna. But it says in a spiritual body, it doesn't say in a material body. We haven't come to that platform yet. These are very confidential subject matters, and we sometimes take it very lightly. Bhakti Siddhanta Maharaj said anyone who has any material concept whatsoever, has any attachment to this world, any identification with the body or the family of self, cannot see Radha Kund, not to speak of bathing. We can't even see it. We're seeing something which may remind us and may inspire us and may purify us, but it's not that which is seen by the pure devotees. There are so many statements like this in Shastra, and sometimes we take things scripturally out of context. That's why it's important to have the guidance of a pure devotee. For sure, Prabhupada. I don't know record of Prabhupada ever taking bath. I've never heard of it. He didn't go very often. Maybe not at all during his time in ISKCON. Maybe he would just take a little drop of water. And when Prabhupada was in Radha Kund, I don't know what year, 36 I think, 1936 I believe, with Bhakti Siddhanta Maharaj. On the banks of Radha Kund, Bhakti Siddhanta Maharaj could have revealed to Srila Prabhupada his eternal relationship with Krishna. He could have done. He could have talked about esoteric subjects regarding Radha and Krishna's pastimes. But what did he say? What did he say to our Srila Prabhupada? At that time, Abhayacharya Arvinda. What did Bhakti Siddhanta Maharaj say?
If you ever get money?
Yeah, get money. He told her, get money. What did he say? Get money? Print what? Print books. If ever you get money, print books. He said a few other things too. He said, the mouth is burning. His mission, he said, is burning. Because he's seen that many of his leading disciples are becoming selfish. Becoming materialistic. There's a danger on the path of devotional service. Sometimes an artist crop up. You all know what anartha is, I think. Everyone knows what the word anartha? Unwanted obstacles, you could say. Obstacles on the path, or unwanted attachments which are not favourable for one's progress in spiritual life. We all have them. It's because of conditional life, and we're still attached to them, perhaps. And as long as those anarthas are there, we don't get a clear picture of Krishna consciousness. And sometimes in the practice of devotional service, we're tempted. You see, there's many examples of that in our scriptures and in other scriptures where advanced devotees are tempted. They're given like a bait, here, oh, this is nice, you've done a lot of service, now take this. Suddenly we become tempted, we become attached, so maybe we become offensive towards other devotees sometimes. Sometimes we become lax in our spiritual practices. Different things which may, obstacles, even though we're practicing devotional service, which may crop up like that. So, he said, Bhaktisiddhanta Maharaj said, this is going on in the mat. Some of the senior devotees are again taking shelter of their anarthas and becoming attached. This is my temple. Oh, this is mine. My property. Oftentimes this is the case. It could be a small thing. That just came to mind, so I just mentioned it. There's a very nice story in the life of Ramanujacharya. I'm sure you all know more about Ramanujacharya than I do. Sri Sampradayacharya. When he had so many thousands of followers, thousands and thousands and thousands of disciples of all different kinds, men, women, married people, single people, renunciates, all kinds of things. He had a lot of brahmachari followers in Sri Rangam also, in the ashram there. And he had one disciple, and his name was Dhanurdas. Dhanurdas was previously a wrestler. He would be like your brother, eh? He's a strong man. Nanat? Is that his name, Nanat? Yeah. Nitai's brother is a very strong body. He's a very powerful man in Mumbai. So this Dhanurdas was also very powerful. He was a very big, strong man. And Sav, another story, we won't tell it. He became a fully surrendered soul at Ramanujacharya's lotus feet. One of his dear disciples. Although he was married, he had wealth, he had a nice house like you've got here. He had wealth, family, and looked very materialistic in one sense. You could say that he had all kinds of material things, but he was a great devotee of Ramanuja. And Ramanujacharya liked to spend time with him, although he was a grihastha, married man. Ramanujacharya would often be seen walking along the river Kaveri, talking to Dhanurdas. So some of the brahmacharis, although they were supposed to be simple brahmacharis, some of them were a little bit jealous because, he was getting more time than they were with the acharya. So Ramanujacharya, reading their minds, seeing their mentality, thought he better teach them a lesson. So he played a trick. He went to the brahmachari one time. He went to the ashram regularly, of course. He said, "Dear whatever, brahmacharis, whatever, you may have noticed I've been spending a lot of time with Dhanurdas. I'm trying to, bring him around. I'm trying to help him to overcome his attachments. So fear not. But he's still so attached. He's very attached. It's very difficult. I think maybe it would be a good idea," he said. Well, first of all, he mentioned that. Then that night, when all the brahmacharis took rest, Ramanujacharya arranged that all of their underwear and bathing things and clothes, everything was moved around in the night. So when all the brahmacharis got up in the morning, they started fighting. "Hey, who's taken my dhoti? Where's my gamcha? Someone's pinched my underwear." They were going like this, quarreling and blaming each other and so many things. "Where's my chada?" So Ramesh was just watching, and then eventually also then So that day he mentioned about Danadas. He said, I think you should go there. See for yourself just how attached he is. So Ramanujacharya sent several of his brahmachari disciples to the house of Danadas. He said, do this. I'll call him over here, so he won't be there, don't worry. So he called Danadas to the temple. Meanwhile, the brahmacharis went to Danadas's house. They looked inside. They were told what to do. And they saw that his wife was sleeping. She was lying on the bed. And she had all these jewels and bangles all over her. They were rich. So the plan was they were going to take the jewels and bangles and stuff and then just see for themselves how attached Danadas and his wife were. So they sneaked in very carefully, opened all the drawers, took out all the jewelry, the gold and the this and the that, put it in bags, and then they saw her, she was covered in jewelry. So they very carefully started, she was on her side, they very carefully started sliding off the jewels, the band, whatever. She was wearing all these golden things. Sliding them off the rings, whatever. They started sliding them off her right arm because she was lying over on one side. Then suddenly she started to move to the other side and they panicked and ran away without getting caught. And they had all these bags of gold. And then the idea was that they would wait outside until Danadas came back and just see his reaction and how attached he would be. So about sometime later, Danadas returned to his home, and of course his wife had gotten up, and he was surprised to see she only had jewelry on one side. So what's the meaning of this? And the brahmacharis were listening, and then he said, well, some poor brahmacharis came here today, and obviously they must have, the math must need some money or something, because they took all the jewels out of the cupboards. And then they started taking them off my right arm. And I thought, wow, they can't reach my left arm, so let me turn over so they can get them off my left arm also. Let them take from the left arm also. He chastised her. Said, you stupid woman, if you stayed still, they may have been able to get them off your left arm. But because you moved, you scared them away. The brahmacharis were. They couldn't believe what they were hearing. Although he had great wealth, he wasn't at all attached. And then he went back and Ramanuja said, so, what did you learn? They were so embarrassed. And he said, you remember last night what happened this morning? With your Brahmin underwear and this and that, your dhotis. Do you remember what happened? Then they all realized that attachment, detachment, etc. is not an external thing. It's internal. It's very, very internal. So unless we realize a little bit, maybe at this stage we're just practicing externally, but the whole point of Krishna conscious movement is to become a little internal. Not just to remain doing things on the outside. I did so many things. Just like in a month's time or less. I don't know when you start your book marathon. You have a book marathon in Gurgaon? When does it start? Sometime soon, a few weeks maybe. You may have noticed sometimes we get attached, right? I did 100 books today. How many did you do? I did 108. Oh no, I better get up again. That's a kind of okay. It's a nice attachment. Inspiring us to do wonderful service, etc. Sometimes we get offended or attached to things, or disturbed when we don't have them, and so on and so forth. In the beginning stages, just like children. Some of you have children. How many of you ladies have children? How many ladies have children? You have 2 or 3 of you, I don't know how many, maybe you're shy. But have you ever noticed how children can get attached to their toys? Especially when they're very young. You give them a boy has his little car, right? All the girls have some dolly or something. And you try to take it away from them. And they'll let you know about it, right? Do you still remember that? They'll let you know, right? they'll scream the house down if you're not careful. They've got incredible little tiny kids have such loud voices, don't they? Something. They're very, very attached. On the path of spiritual life, we're all like children. We get very attached to things and disturbed when things are taken away. Even anarthas, even things which are not favourable, we don't like to let go of sometimes, we're very attached. Easy to say. Someone else actually Siddhanta Maharaj could foretell the future. He said very soon there'll be fire in the mat. They will be quarrelling with each other. Kali Yuga, Kali Yuga is the age of quarrel. Age of materialism, age of hypocrisy. It's very common in this age. It's very hard to avoid it. We've got to be a little Krishna conscious not to be affected by it, really. So he was predicting that, and then of course he gave that instruction: if ever you get money, print books. He said actually, if I could, I would tear down the marble in the temple and use it to print books. How do I do that? You see that sometimes the temples become like, what can you say, a burden almost. They become almost like a burden sometimes. Or even worse in some cases, they become a cause of our offending others, cause of our becoming insanely attached, etc., and then to the power, it's Krishna's paraphernalia, so you could say once, but it depends again on the attitude. You start to see it as my paraphernalia rather than Krishna's paraphernalia. There are many different anarthas there. We become proud and so on and so forth, sometimes in the execution of devotional service. Thinking I'm an advanced devotee, or I'm a good devotee, or whatever it may be. I'm a good musician, I'm a good speaker, I'm a good cook. Whatever it may be, fortunate if we are good, we should always remember that belongs to Krishna, it doesn't belong to me. That ability belongs to Krishna. He's just, you could say, he's giving us the chance, like a lease, an opportunity to use that ability in his service, but it's not ours. We might get proud if we start thinking it's mine, I'm this and I'm that. Bhakti Siddhanta Maharaj was very worried that was the case. And of course later on we know how Srila Prabhupada himself, alone basically speaking, tried to execute the mission of Bhakti Siddhanta Maharaj. Amongst all the disciples of Bhakti Siddhanta Maharaj, and many of them were very advanced, elevated souls, there's no doubt about that. Others maybe at different levels, but many of them were very advanced and very learned, extremely austere comparatively. Prabhupada wasn't generally seen. Sometimes he would write things which were extraordinary even in their view, but generally he wasn't seen in the same kind of like level as many of the seniors. He wasn't a sannyasi. Dozens and dozens of them were sannyasis, and they were big preachers in India. And unfortunately that kind of, after Bhakti Siddhanta Maharaj departed the world, it sort of fizzled out a bit. It didn't persevere. And Prabhupada himself took it up. He took up the mission. Bhakti Siddhanta Maharaj's mission was very broad, although he focused, just like Lord Chaitanya, focused on preaching in India. We don't hear of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu going outside of the Indian subcontinent, not even in the subcontinent, even out of India, right? He just travelled around India a little bit, not even much. But his mission was the whole world. The same with Bhakti Siddhanta Maharaj. He just preached in the Indian subcontinent. He went to Burma, a few other places like that. Now Bangladesh, maybe Pakistan. But then it was all greater India, really. And later on divided. But he didn't go. He sent his disciples. Some of his disciples he sent to England. And then they later on went to Germany, France, a few other places to preach. But they didn't make much headway. But when Srila Prabhupada went himself to the West, we can see the results. Someone was saying this morning there were now 10 million members of ISKCON, devotees, not just some level of practicing devotional service within ISKCON, over 10 million. That's a reasonable amount considering there was nobody outside of India 50 years ago. 3 years ago. That's quite something. Quite something. That's Lord Chaitanya's mission. And Prabhupada was a grihastha until 1959 or like that. No, not a problem. And in 1959 when he took sannyas, then he took up this mission seriously of spreading Krishna consciousness. To every town and every village. But no other disciples did, only he. Later on they may have taken advantage or whatever and got into it. But only then, only Prabhupada, up to 1970 something, only Prabhupada was preaching outside the India. Oh yeah. So quite a phenomenon for the Prabhupada who came to, I don't know how many countries, but he travelled the world 14 times, preached in every continent, I suppose. North America, South America, Africa, Europe, Asia, Australia, he preached it. He didn't go to Antarctica. Although some devotees have now been there to preach. And there are now some self-realized penguins. That's why the ice is melting. Fired up kirtans going on. But every other continent Prabhupada went and preached. And at quite a senior age, and some of you, I don't know if anyone here is 70 plus, but you can imagine if you are, I can't see if you are. Sometimes people look younger than they are, they look younger than they are. I don't see, maybe, I don't know, whatever. But he was over 70 when he started this. In a foreign country with no support from India, no support from America, a few interested young boys and girls who had nothing much except for interest. They had no money, they didn't know anything of it, no qualities in terms of Vedic behavior, no culture in terms of Vedic culture, practically no knowledge of Krishna consciousness at all. If they were attracted, a little sense. Was that you? Was that you? Who was that? Huh? Who was that? Oh! There you go again. I suggest you turn it off. It would sound like good order. Maybe not know how to do it. I don't know. I don't think you know how to do it. Just don't touch it. Let someone who knows how to do it. Just unplug it. That's the easiest thing. Just plug it. Is it off? Right. Getting bored, eh? Kids, they make a noise when they get bored. Huh? Adults do too sometimes. Who could have imagined now? Srila Prabhupada, this whole movement has developed, and now we're hearing Gurgaon. Great credit, I mean. We were here on the way here. This is the village of Dronacharya, a very significant personality in Vedic history, especially in our own line, being the guide, the spiritual master of, at least in certain areas, the Pandavas, many others. Very special. Prabhupada spent many years in Delhi. In many ways, his movement really started in Delhi in terms of preaching, because it was in Delhi that he produced the Bhagavatam, Bhakti Godheads and so on, and preached himself alone in Delhi. And now, as you may know, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, I heard that ISKCON now has managing the Chippewada temple,
Yes.
where Prabhupada stayed in Chandra Chowk. So that's quite historic. Imagine Prabhupada was there on his own in the 1950s, completely alone, no help, struggling hard in senior age, struggling hard to produce his magazines and books. Great endeavor. He had no money, begging each time to collect enough money to pay for a few more books. like that. He struggled alone, crying in the wilderness. And now we're sitting here in Gurgaon, in a nice apartment with nice devotees. We've just honored one. I don't know if everyone's had their dinners or what, but we took wonderful prasadam earlier on this evening. Luxurious. Prabhupada couldn't afford. Just eating really simple prasad. Super simple. Of course, he was back and forth at one time between Vrindavan and Delhi. He wasn't all the time in Vrindavan. Much of the time he was in Delhi, and even he was in Bombay also at that time. He was traveling to preach and to raise funds for the printing of his books. He had this great mission to print books. The spiritual master had given him this instruction to preach in the Western world in English language and in India, of course. Now, I guess all of you understand English. You won't be able to answer if you don't. Maybe you're just sitting there wondering what the heck's going on. Why are they laughing, I wonder. But most people in the cities in India speak English now, don't they?
Yes.
Delhi and Bombay especially. No? Probably Bangalore also. But most of the big cities, English has become a common language. Kali Yuga again. It's like, almost like at this time it's like the Kali Yuga communicative language, you know. I think because there's so many vulgar words in English, it's become quite popular. Because in this age people are quite vulgar around the world, not in India, so in other places. Some other Krishna's arranged, and millions of Indian people now are spread out all over the world, right? Some of you have been overseas. Who's been to America? A few of you have been. Who's been to England? Oh, not so many. Australia? You're from, you're living there, boy. Yes. Anyway, so you've been to America. You've seen how many, lots of Indian people in America. New Jersey, and Boston, San Francisco, all sorts too. Toronto, everywhere, Chicago, Houston. Everywhere there are Indian people, all over the United States and Canada. There's just hundreds, maybe millions of them. They're everywhere. And same in England, there are millions in England, hundreds of thousands in Australia, and so many other countries all over the place. And many of them are actually spreading Krishna consciousness. In their own ways maybe, but they are. Many of them are very active. It's a special, you could say, it seems like an arrangement of the Lord. They go there for work or study, and then they end up being preachers of Krishna consciousness. Very interesting. How Lord Chaitanya is orchestrating. We even see Muslim people in many countries of the world, not in the Middle East, I have no experience, but Muslim people living in Europe and Australia and America, many times they're very, very fascinated by Krishna consciousness. Extremely fascinated. They have no hesitation to come and join us in kirtan. And many times they just like we have these books here, and I'm sure you've seen it. These books are in Arabic. Of course, there's not much scope here, I suppose, but whoopsie daisy. English term, whoopsie daisy. This is Arabic. Upside down, I can't see whether it's the right way around or wrong. I think that's the way, yeah. Arabic books. Have you seen them before? No. We're distributing some in France, as many as we can. We have Arabic Gita now. And there's medium books out. We haven't got them yet in France. There's about 6 books in Arabic now floating around. And they're distributing hundreds of thousands in America, Arabic books. Tourists from, Arabic countries. From Syria, from Iraq, Iran, whatever country they're from, they speak Arabic. Even Saudi Arabia. Many times people in Saudi Arabia, when they're not in Saudi Arabia, they're very interested. When they're out of their country, they're often quite interested. They're fascinated. They They know. They can't say anything when they're in their country. You know, they walk along. So many taken. Sometimes if they're local, they take the local languages. It's like this is French. This is a small book in French, which we distribute in France. This is Science and Consciousness. A book by Bhakti Swarup Damodar Maharaj. Scientific basis of Krishna consciousness. Well, people like it. This one. They like the real scientific. And so many other things. And all languages. And it's wonderful. And there's a Bhakti Siddhanta Maharaj in Power Prabhupada. I mean, it's incredible. How many languages I don't know. Maybe 100 languages. You know, the book, Prabhupada books are translated into. Maybe in India alone there's probably 20 or 30 languages, right? Everything from, I don't know, Punjab to Assamese to Tamil to all the other languages.
Hundreds of languages in India.
Excuse me?
Hundreds of languages in India.
100 languages in India. So
More than that.
I don't know if the books are in all 100 yet, are they?
No.
Maybe not, but they're in all the major ones, right? Telugu, Bengali, Oriyan, Marathi, Hindi, of course, Gujarati, and all these languages, Punjabi, Urdu, so many languages, Kannada, Malayalam, some of the major languages are there. And in Europe also all the major languages, Russian, Chinese, Japanese, Korean, Indonesian, and African languages, Swahili, this one, that one. It's amazing, it's just amazing to see so many books in so many languages being distributed. You have it here, someone was saying today, what did they say, something about distributing books in India is like a sense gratification. It's so easy. The people are all familiar, they're all, and of course a lot of them say, I've got it, oh, I know these things, I've already got it. That's what we get in the West. Every time we meet an Indian person on the street, he says, yes, I already have, I know these things. And walk by him. Almost every time. Something like that, isn't it, Rafi? Almost every time in the Western world. Occasionally you meet some very person who's very genuine. But the Muslims don't do that. They're a little different. They're also not embarrassed. Many times Indian people are embarrassed when they see us on the street in Western world. They say, you know, oh, they're a little shy of being Hindu, you know. Think, oh no, I can't get in. I can't show myself with them. They're kind of like, you know, what will people think of me? They're shy, you know, and not shy or maybe whatever, something or not. The Muslims are not. They easily run and jump in with the kirtan and dance with us. Start chanting many times. And there are some countries, even like Saudi Arabia, and they're out of their country. You know, there's a bunch of people who may be a little fanatic, but the majority of people are not like that. They just don't know. They're just ignorant. Totally ignorant of what's going on. There's no Prabhupada's mercy. Prabhupada's mercy. He never stopped giving us, and he's still giving us mercy in these books. Prabhupada said again and again, if you want to please me, you distribute my books. He also said you study them too. You just distribute them. We were hearing that from preacher the other day, remember? I don't know if we were saying it. Prabhupada in 1976 when Prabhupada came to London. Many German devotees came over to see Prabhupada, and we were doing a lot of distribution of books. But they weren't very scholarly, they didn't read much, the German. At that time, the German devotees weren't reading much. Prabhupada knew that, so he kind of tested them and challenged them. So what is the goal of this Krishna conscious movement? What is the, conclusion of the Gita? Different questions he asked. And he said, look, forget that these books are not just for distributing, they're for you. Prabhupada particularly wrote these books for us to read. It's like Nectar of instruction. That's the last few verses, by the way, I was discussing just now a little bit. It behooves us to go through it step by step, not jump to the end. Prabhupada writes here, he says, advancement in Krishna consciousness depends on the attitude of the follower. follow the Krishna conscious movement should become a perfect Goswami. What does that mean? Everyone has to shave their heads now, put on saffron robes and pick up a stick? Is that what it means? Ladies as well. You really get in trouble if you do it. But what does it mean? It says here, every member, follower of the Krishna movement should become a perfect Goswami. What does that mean?
Is to engage ourselves 24/7 in the service of Krishna.
Okay, isn't it? It's okay? You saw that? Yeah, to engage ourselves fully, to engage our mind, body, senses, intelligence, everything fully in Krishna service as a Goswami. Senses are control. It doesn't mean a man or a woman. It doesn't mean an order of life. It's a state of, say, attitude, really. And that's the same for women as it is for men. But, of course, if it's with pride, that's another thing. That's another part of attitude. It should be in a humble state of mind. In Vrindavan, this is the title by which the director of each temple is known. One who wants to become a perfect devotee of Krishna must become a Goswami. Go means get out, right? Goswami, go.
Senses.